Hi, everybody, and welcome to our lesson about nesting bowls. We have started to talk a little bit more in class about the difference between functional and decorative pottery. Functional pottery is pottery that has a specific kind of a function or a job. So it can hold something, be just like this little teapot. I'll hold it. It has got a really incredible lid. Okay, it could pour out hot water for tea, or even my mug right here that I use in class to hold my hot cocoa. Again, so functional means that it has some sort of a job. Decorative pottery means that it's just somewhere for decoration. Okay, so we're actually going to probably blend just a little bit. We're going to be starting to make nesting bowls in class. And nesting is just another word for the pottery fits inside of one another. And we're going to make a series out of red earthenware clay, a series of 3 nesting bowls. I just happen to have a set, and they've got a really organic kind of a shape to them. But I've got a large, medium, and then a small one, and they all nest together. That's the idea of what we're going to do, okay, for our class. So I'm going to go ahead and put away these. The kind of clay that we're going to use, you know it, you love it. We're going to go ahead and start to use some red earthenware clay. Now, I have wedged this clay, meaning I've slammed it on the table a few different times to make sure that it's all of the air bubbles are out of it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and grab my wire cutter, okay, which is always a hit with the kids, not going to lie. It's got 2 wooden pegs on the end, but it's got this, just this metal wire. Okay, and what it does, it helps cut the clay, as the kids would say, ooh, satisfying. Okay, so that just starts to cut the clay. Now, the amount of clay that we're going to use for this particular project is roughly just a little over a pound of clay. And I kind of eyeball it. I know it enough at this point, kind of roughly what that looks like. Now, the rationale being, we're going to use that to divide this into 3 parts for our small, medium, and large pinch pots. Now, first things first, everybody's going to get a sheet of paper. You will have pencils. I'm going to go ahead and just put my name on there, and I'm going to go ahead and put a class code. Okay, so we're going to have large, medium, and small. Okay, the 3 different sizes. So right away, what I'm going to start to do is to divide. There's my small. Okay, there's my medium. Okay, and now this is approximate, right? And here's my large. Okay, now what I've had some people do is just go ahead and start with the larger ones, and then they can always remove clay as they go along. So first things first with those, I'm going to go ahead and start to create a sphere. Okay, a 3-dimensional circle called a sphere. Does this have to be perfect? No, no such thing. FYI, newsflash. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make another ball right here, another sphere. Got it. And here's my little one. Now that extra clay that I pinched off, I'm just going to leave it off to the side. Maybe I'll need it down the line. Who knows? Okay, so I'm going to start with the large. Here we go. Once I got it, I'm going to put my thumb in there, and I'm going to go ahead. So this is just a regular kind of a pinch pot. The pinch method, pinch and pull, okay, is a pretty basic kind of a method, one of the most basic, along with additive and subtractive, where we add clay and subtract clay from the larger whole, and then coil, where we make little ropes or snakes of clay. Okay, so those are pretty basic kinds of methods. Now, right away, what I'm starting to notice, I've got it kind of high here. So to make the center of balance a little bit lower, I'm going to take the bottom here and just give it a couple really good taps. Great. And what that does, it flattens out the bottom. Now I'm going to do the same to the top. There. And now what I've got here, I've got a nice looking start to a pinch pot. I'm going to get my finger in there and start to smooth out any wrinkles or imperfections that I see. Okay, and this is also when you start to get that clay kit. Each table will get their own clay kit with some slip, which is clay and water mixture. I've got a few texturing tools, but to be honest, for this one, I'm just going to use the slip. I'll pull it out for now so you can kind of see how I use it. Okay, but if I see any little wrinkles, like on the sides, honestly, your finger is the best tool Fingers are your best tools. I especially like to use my thumb for this part because it'll help smooth the walls. Okay, and I do it first while it has a little bit of moisture. If you're noticing though, cracks, that just tells you that it's starting to dry. The moment clay is exposed to air, it starts to dry, right? Because it's essentially dirt. Okay, that one looks pretty dang good. And the walls are roughly the same thickness all the way around, which is totally what I want. Great. Okay, next one. Now I'm noticing I'm going to have to make this one maybe a little bit smaller. Okay, so I start with the big one and then work your way down. Starting to notice that that's a better strategy because they have to fit inside of one another. Okay, now some of you might be able to fit both of your thumbs in there as you spin it around. Okay, here we go. So you'll get the hang of it as you go along. Do my taps. I'm going to get those wrinkles on the outside. Now, when the clay is also dry, right now it's called the plastic stage because we're able to, it's not made out of plastic, but it's called the plastic stage because it's malleable, or I can sculpt it, I can move it around. Okay, now a little bit of slip. Okay, and let's see, what do we got? Oh, that's pretty good, but you know what? It's just a tish too big. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to maybe make these walls come up. I'm going on the outside. Make these walls come up just a tish. And whoa, that's great. It fits in there. Okay, there's my small one. And now look at, I might need to make this one really, really tiny to fit in there. Maybe I'll make it tall and skinny so it can definitely fit in there. Look at it, it's only my thumb that can fit in this one. And I'm going around and around and around. Love it. Oh my gosh, it's so adorable. Okay. Okay. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. See how it's like a little bit too thick right there? I'm going to go ahead and just give it a little pinch and just kind of keep spinning it. Use both hands, right? Your opposable thumbs are your BFFs during this time. Okay, that looks pretty dang good. Now, does it fit in there? Yay! It does. Voila, c'est ça. There are our nesting bowls. Now, when they dry, we're going to set them apart from one another. Okay, we're going to set them apart. They're going to dry. I will carve your name on the bottom so we know whose is whose. And then once they're in what's called the bone dry stage, I'll go ahead and just do a light sanding over the top and the sides, and then we'll put them into the kiln for firing. And we're eventually going to use some really nice kinds of glazes. We'll experiment with that next. All right, thanks everybody. Let's get sculpting.